This is the structural material I decide to use for build my van, called 80-20 aluminum extrusion. It is much stronger than wood, and the overall weight is much lower than wood cabinet and frames. This episode, we discuss how to cut it accurately and without spending too much money. Let's see what's the options out there. What's other people doing this? So the first option obviously will be not cutting it. Not cutting it means you let the factory do the cutting. You just accurately measure and design the parts length you need, and you transfer this data to the factory when you're ordering this aluminum. So the factory will use their $1 million equipment, cut it perfectly for you, and ship to you. But this option obviously is very time consuming. You have to wait for them to ship to you. It's usually cost 3 days to 3 weeks. So it's not practical. The best way is you are be able to cut by yourself. I ordered the aluminum extruding. All there is 14 feet long. It's the longest stock they have. Then I just find a way to cut it by myself. The critical thing is you have to cut it like a perfectly 90-degree angle and perfectly straight. So then when you assemble them together, they will be much more accurate. If you cut it a little bit crooked with the angle, then when you assemble them up, then the whole thing will be not accurate. My first thinking will be the miter saw to cut the aluminum. It will be just perfectly fine for when you're changing the blade into like a aluminum cutting blade instead of a wood cutting. It will cut the aluminum like 90 degrees or 45 or whatever you want the angle. The problem I don't like this miter saw is it can only do this one job, cutting aluminum or cutting like 2x4 lumbers. But in my van build, I probably not deal with the 2x4 or like any thicker lumber to cutting. So if my miter saw only does this one job, then it's a kind of wasted the money and the space to storage this miter saw. The second option will be table saw. You can change the blade on the table saw into aluminum cutting saw blade as well too. Then you can cut the 80-20 on table saw. But it's a little bit scary because the saw blade is facing upward, and you're just pushing through those aluminum through those saw blade. Need like a well protected helmet, like a face mask, everything to prevent the dust and the debris fly into your eye or onto your face. So this is the second option you can have. If you already have miter saw or table saw, you can just simply change the blade and you use them. But I don't have either of them, but I still want to buy a saw to do the multi-purpose. So my third option will be circular saw. This is the cheapest option. This circular saw is only $200, around $200. And this can be multi-used in my van build. It can cut not only aluminum, can cut like a big sheet of plywood or plastic sheets or anything else, lumbers. So it will have like multiple uses, and it's easy to storage. It's very small and compact. This specific model is a Makita 5377MG. It's a little bit heavy duty model for this circular saw. This 7.25-inch die blow blade is specifically made for cutting aluminum. I used on my application. It works very well. It has a very clean cut. It's not even hot. It's just perfectly for this application. Now I can make my decision to use this circular saw as my option. But I still need to make our device to working with this circular saw, because usually circular saw is handheld. It's not accurate at all. So I need to build a frame to restrict the movement of this circular saw. So this is the frame I built. This has 3 layers. First layer is holding everything up. The second layer is the layer where I put the parts to be cut. It's right in the middle. And the third layer is the layer holding the saw blade back and forth. So I install our plastic plate underneath the circular saw plate, then insert into the grooves inside the aluminum. Then it can go to the linear motion, can go back and forth, only one direction. So this will cut the aluminum like a perfectly 90 degrees. All the other side of the motion or movement will be restricted by this saw frame. Then, so this cut will be very, very accurate. So this is what we need to be very accurate. The last thing I want to mention is this white steel frame foundation underneath this saw cutting frame. It's created a perfectly flat plane to making sure everything is accurate. This is also very important too. Thank you to watching this episode. See you.